Hey guys, Noel here, and it is Wednesday night. And before we wind down for the night, I thought it would be fun to do a review video for the anime review section of the YouTube channel. Tonight, we are not going to be reviewing something animated in Japan, but animated in South Korea. Although the pilot of this series was originally animated in Japan, and this series, which was broadcast in America and animated in South Korea by the fine people at Acom Animation, is something that does have a bit of a presence already on the YouTube channel, thanks to the Japanese band Ambiance and the Japanese dub of this cartoon. This is the Fox Kids Saturday morning cartoon of X-Men, and we are going to be reviewing the episode Cold Vengeance, which features my favorite character, Wolverine. I'm a huge fan of Wolverine, as evidenced by the various Wolverine action figures that I own. And I don't let Santino play with this one, but I let him carefully play with this one. And, we also have the very cool camera Wolverine. It actually can show a slideshow of awesome clips from X-Men. So, good stuff here. X-Men in the 90s was a bit of a pop culture phenomenon due to the fantastic artwork of Jim Lee. So this cartoon, the Fox cartoon, used the designs that Jim Lee did for X-Men, and it greatly benefits from using those designs. I also really like the late 80s designs for the X-Men as well. In fact, in the early 90s when this stuff was happening, I loved these designs, but I was like, I also like the 80s designs. I wish they'd use those a little more. But looking back, I really love the 90s designs. The cartoon X-Men right here, they make some minor alterations to designs that I don't really understand. Like they put Jean Grey's hair in a ponytail. Obviously, they kind of put a little more covering on her kind of underwear, because in the comics she's basically got a thong, even though it's over tights. So they don't want that on Saturday morning cartoons. But whatever. But the odd thing is they took away the back stripe of Sabretooth's outfit. So I don't know. So his butt is more visible. So I don't know what they're trying to do here. But anyway, it's all good. The designs are great. The animation on this is good, definitely by modern standards of cartoons broadcast in the United States. Like this was broadcast in the United States 11 o'clock a.m. Saturdays on Fox Kids. So it was, definitely a highlight of my youth. A lot of cartoons that are broadcast in the United States now that don't originate from Japan, that are supposed to, like, they're like cartoons made for American broadcast. They don't look good. I don't think they're like hyper stylized, to the point where things are very flat and cheap looking. I mean, like for a cartoon like Peppa Pig, like that works, but when that's just kind of the standard and Cartoon Network is just churning out things that look like Teen Titans Go all the time, something like this, which actually resembles an American comic book, is a very high standard. And I gotta tell you, the people at Acom, this animation is nice, but it's actually much worse than what the Pride of the X-Men, which was the original pilot for an X-Men cartoon, had, because that was done by Toei Animation, and they did a beautiful job on Pride of the X-Men. The plot to this episode is very cool. Wolverine has a unrequited love for Jean Grey, the redheaded veteran X-Men member and girlfriend of Cyclops. Now, Wolverine, he's always been a bit of a loner. He's trying to be a team player, but it's hard for him to be on a team where the woman he loves is with another man. So he does the only mature thing to do, and that's to go run off to the Arctic and go skiing, where he can have some real solitude, only to be attacked by his old rival Sabretooth, who's actually my favorite character to play as in X-Men versus Street Fighter and Marvel versus Capcom 2. So anyway, they don't really talk specifically about what their beef is. It's kind of left intentionally mysterious, but it is well presented. You definitely can tell that there is history with these two characters, and they don't like each other for powerful reasons. And the fight scenes in this are good, definitely by American standards of Saturday morning cartoons at the time. I mean, if you're comparing it to like Japanese anime fight scenes and fighting animes, definitely like this is a very low key version of that. It's not very sophisticated, but it's not bad. Um, Wolverine ends up encountering kind of a rival in this Inuit tribe that ends up rescuing Wolverine after he loses his initial bout with Sabretooth. And, the same way that Cyclops draws Jean Grey's attention from Wolverine, Wolverine draws the Inuit's attention away from Kiowak, the jealous Eskimo. So, yeah, he should get his own series. Marvel makes such weird stuff anyway, such weird stuff that people are complaining about. They should just make a comic, Kiowak, the alienated Eskimo. That would totally fit into their, their political slant. I kid. I kid because I love. But anyway, so Sabretooth basically manipulates Kiowak into luring Wolverine into yet another trap, which then puts the entire Inuit tribe in danger. And so you can see that the plot to this episode it's pretty darn engaging and sophisticated. And all of the characters in X-Men, their personalities are very bold and engaging. Whether you like characters or you don't like characters, you know those characters and are, I would argue, interested in those characters. Like, you pay attention to what those characters do because their personalities from the comic book are so well represented. Even if the stories from the comic book are not always 100% accurate, the spirit of the comic book is, and a lot of the gist of the stories from the comic book are definitely represented in the X-Men cartoon. And they do this, they kind of borrow stories kind of out of order, because when the X-Men started in the 1960s, that was a very different team than the X-Men team of the 90s, which was actually based on the X-Men team of the 70s. It's a whole long kind of convoluted history of the X-Men. But they try to kind of pick and choose different stories at different times and use this current 90s crew of X-Men as the central cast for these stories. So you could have a story from the early 80s taking place, but you would have the early 90s team of X-Men, which might have some different members than the early 80s team of X-Men. So that is something that happens in this series, but it's, I think, if you're a fan of the X-Men, great. And this was actually my introduction to X-Men. Like, I watched the cartoon before I read the comics. It's actually the cartoon that got me into the comics when I was growing up. I mean, I knew about the X-Men. I knew they were cool. I remember watching The Pride of the X-Men on an 11-inch black and white TV when I was, in kindergarten, first grade. And I remember I could never find that episode again. They never showed it anymore. And then I remember there was a local comic shop in Syracuse, New York, that used to run the opening credits to Pride of the X-Men as part of their commercial. And I still have that song, memorized. X-Men, X-Men, this is the day, X-Men, X-Men, coming your way. Magneto's hordes are on the way to pillage, burn, and plunder, but there's one team that will not yield, the team that strikes like thunder. X-Men, X-Men, this is the day, X-Men, X-Men, coming your way. So, that is a very catchy song. But the opening to this X-Men is good, but not as good. And obviously, the best X-Men opening is the Japanese opening. So, in conclusion, on a scale of 1 to 10, I give Cold Vengeance a 30 out of 10. It's great. It looks like the comic, although maybe not quite as sharp and polished. And the story and characters are engaging, and Wolverine, his cool, stoic toughness and compassion are on full display, and his evil rival Sabretooth's personality also shines through as kind of an evil alternative to Wolverine. So great stuff. I'm sure you can watch this on Disney Plus, or if you want the full experience of the VHS tape, this is a single episode. It's about 24 minutes, and you get all kinds of fun extras like NFL, A Field of Dreams, where Michael Irvin magically appears in children's dreams and teach them how to, play football and hopefully not do drugs. So anyway. Until next time, guys, my name is Noel. You take care. Go Cowboys, but more importantly, go Vikings. And go X-Men. We'll see you in the very near future. Like and subscribe and comment. Bye-bye.